Welcome to my channel Alien Signal. The stars above Outpost Khepri shimmered like a frozen ocean, endless and indifferent. Commander Elias Varn stood at the observation deck, hands clasped behind his back, staring into that void as if it might answer the question that had been haunting him for weeks. It wouldn't. Nothing in space ever did. Commander, a voice crackled behind him. They've arrived. Varn didn't turn immediately. He let the silence stretch, let the weight of the moment settle into his bones. First contact had come and gone decades ago. Humanity had met dozens of species since then, some friendly, most cautious, a few openly hostile. But none like this. He finally turned. Escort them in. The aliens called themselves the Threxian Collective. They were tall, easily over 8 feet, with elongated limbs and a chitin-like exoskeleton that shimmered faintly under artificial light. Their faces were unreadable, composed of layered plates instead of flesh, with clusters of black, glassy eyes that reflected everything but revealed nothing. They moved with eerie precision, every step synchronized, like a single mind controlling multiple bodies. Which, according to intelligence reports, wasn't far from the truth. Varn stood at the center of the command chamber as 3 Threxians entered. Behind him, a semicircle of human officers watched silently, tension thick in the air. The lead Threxian spoke first. Its voice wasn't vocal in the traditional sense. It resonated, vibrating through the room like a low-frequency hum that translated directly into the mind. "We thank you for receiving us, Commander Elias Varn." Varn inclined his head slightly. "You've come a long way. I assume this isn't a social visit." A pause. Then, "Correct. We are here to evaluate." "Evaluate what?" The Threxian's many eyes focused on him. "Your species." A murmur rippled through the officers behind him. Varn remained still. "And how do you plan to do that?" Another pause, longer this time. "Through demonstration." Hours later, the purpose of that demonstration became clear. They stood at the edge of a vast training field carved into the barren surface of Khepri's moon. Artificial wind howled across the gray dust, carrying with it the metallic scent of ozone. In the distance, a series of targets had been set up, small, fast-moving drones that zigzagged unpredictably through the air. Human snipers lined the ridge, rifles ready. The Threxians observed from a raised platform, their towering forms silhouetted against the pale sky. Varn stood beside them. "This is unnecessary," he said. "We've already shared our military capabilities. Data is insufficient," the lead Threxian replied. "We require observation." Varn clenched his jaw but said nothing. Below, the first sniper fired. A sharp crack echoed across the field. One of the drones exploded in a burst of sparks. Another shot. Another drone fell. Within minutes, every target had been eliminated with near-perfect precision. The Threxians watched in silence. Finally, one of them spoke. "Accuracy, acceptable. Reaction time, adequate. Skill level, above average." A faint hint of approval, but not much. Varn folded his arms. "Our best marksman, trained for years. You won't find better." The Threxian tilted its head slightly. "Incorrect." Varn frowned. "What do you mean?" The alien stepped closer, towering over him. "We have studied your species. Your conflict history. Your behavioral patterns." Another Threxian continued. "Your military is efficient, disciplined, predictable." The lead one finished. "But not optimal." Varn's eyes narrowed. "Then what is?" There was a long pause. Then the question came. "Who is your deadliest shot?" Varn blinked. "That's what you've been building up to. Answer the question." Varn gestured toward the ridge. "You're looking at them." The Threxian's gaze didn't shift. "No." A ripple of unease moved through the human officers nearby. Varn felt it too, but he didn't let it show. "Then what are you asking?" The Threxian leaned closer, its many eyes reflecting his face from a dozen angles. Among your species, who is the most dangerous individual capable of lethal precision at range? Varn hesitated, and in that hesitation, something changed. Not fear, not uncertainty, something colder, something darker. A slow smile spread across his face. Pick any civilian. The words hung in the air like a dropped blade. For the first time since their arrival, the Threxians did not respond immediately. Behind Varn, one of the officers shifted uncomfortably. Another whispered, "Commander," but Varn didn't look back. He kept his eyes locked on the alien. "You want to know who our deadliest shot is?" He continued calmly. "You're asking the wrong question." The Threxians remained silent. Varn took a step forward. "You're assuming that lethal precision is something we isolate. That we train it, refine it, keep it locked within our military structure." He shook his head slowly. "That's not how we work." He gestured toward the horizon. "On Earth alone, there are billions of people. Farmers, mechanics, teachers, students, people who have never worn a uniform, never seen a battlefield." The Threxians listened. "And yet," Varn continued, "many of them can pick up a rifle, and hit a target from hundreds of meters away." A flicker of movement passed through the alien's eye clusters. "Statistically improbable." Varn chuckled softly. "Not for us." He turned slightly, addressing both the aliens and his own officers. "You've seen our soldiers. What you haven't seen is our culture." He paused, letting the word settle. "Humans don't just fight wars. We prepare for them, even when we pretend we're not." Varn began to pace slowly. "In some parts of our world, firearms are tools. Everyday objects. Used for hunting, for sport, for protection." He glanced at the Threxians. "Children grow up learning how to aim before they fully understand what it means to pull the trigger." A few of the officers shifted again, clearly uncomfortable with where this was going. Varn ignored them. "You want the deadliest shot," he said. "It's not the man on that ridge." He pointed to the empty training field. "It's the person you don't expect. The one who doesn't look like a threat. The one who doesn't follow your models or your predictions." The lead Threxian spoke again, its tone subtly altered. "You are suggesting unpredictability is a strategic advantage." Varn nodded. "I'm saying you're looking at this the wrong way." He stopped pacing and faced them fully. "You're searching for our best sniper." Another faint smile. "But our real strength." He tapped his temple. "Is that almost anyone can become one." Silence. Heavy. Absolute. Even the artificial wind seemed to die down for a moment. Finally, one of the Threxians stepped forward. "Demonstrate." Varn raised an eyebrow. "You want proof?" "Yes." He glanced back at his officers. "Bring in a volunteer." There was hesitation, but only for a second. A young technician was escorted forward. She looked confused, a little nervous, still wearing her maintenance uniform. "Sir?" she asked. Varn gave her a reassuring nod. "What's your name?" "Lena Ortiz." "Ever fired a rifle, Lena?" She blinked. "Ah, yeah. My dad used to take me hunting when I was a kid." Varn turned back to the Threxians. "There you go." A rifle was brought out. Standard issue, nothing special. Varn handed it to Lena. "Relax," he said quietly. "Just do what you remember." She swallowed, nodded, and took position. The drones were reactivated, faster this time, more erratic. The Threxians watched intently. Lena took a breath, exhaled, and fired. The first shot missed. A murmur from the officers. The Threxians remained still. Lena adjusted her stance. Another breath. Another shot. A drone exploded midair. Something shifted. Not just in Lena, but in the atmosphere itself. She wasn't nervous anymore. She was focused. Calm. Instinct taking over. Shot after shot rang out. each one more precise than the last. By the time the final drone fell, the field was silent again. Lena lowered the rifle, eyes wide, as if she couldn't quite believe what she'd just done. Varn stepped beside her. "Thank you," he said. She nodded, still stunned, and was escorted away. The Threxians stood motionless, processing, analyzing, re-evaluating. Finally, the lead one spoke. "Your claim is valid." Varn crossed his arms. "Now you understand." Another Threxian added. "Your species exhibits distributed lethality." Varn smirked. "That's one way to put it." The lead Threxian turned toward the horizon. "This changes our assessment." Varn's expression hardened slightly. "Good." A pause. Then, "Your species is more dangerous than previously calculated." Varn didn't smile this time. "Yeah," he said quietly. "We tend to be." The Threxians conferred silently among themselves, their bodies shifting in subtle, synchronized movements. Finally, they turned back to him. "We will revise our engagement protocols." Varn tilted his head. "Meaning?" Another pause. Then the answer came. "Avoidance." A ripple of surprise moved through the human officers. Varn raised an eyebrow. "You're choosing not to engage us." "Correct. Because of this. Because of what it represents." The lead Threxian stepped closer one last time. "A species in which any individual may become lethal, is not a species to challenge lightly." Varn met its gaze. Smart decision. The Threxians began to withdraw, their massive forms retreating toward their transport vessel. As they left, the tension that had gripped the outpost slowly began to fade. But Varn remained where he was, staring out at the empty field. One of his officers approached cautiously. "Commander, was that really wise?" Varn didn't turn. "What part?" "Telling them that. Showing them." A pause. "They're going to see us as a threat now." Varn exhaled slowly. "They already did." He finally looked back. "The difference is, now they understand why." The officer hesitated. "And if they come back? Better prepared." Varn's expression didn't change. "Then they'll learn something else about us." "What's that?" Varn glanced once more at the horizon, where the Threxian ship was disappearing into the sky. "That we don't just survive." A faint, grim smile returned. "We adapt faster than anyone expects." The stars above Khepri shimmered again, silent as ever. But this time, they didn't feel quite as indifferent. Somewhere out there, a species had just learned a hard truth about humanity. Not about its weapons, not about its armies, but about its people. And that truth would echo far beyond this lonely outpost. Because the most dangerous thing about humans was never the ones trained to fight. It was the ones who weren't. Yet. Thank you for listening. Subscribe for more cinematic science fiction stories.